Hey YouTube, Common Collector here, and today I am bringing you guys my Gren Maju deck profile. I've been playing with Gren Maju for a long time now, basically ever since it came out back in Invasion of Chaos, and ever since then, Gren Maju's been a card that is, really just a fan favorite. He can one punch for game. Everybody knows what he does. Gains 400 attack for every one of your cards that is banished, so if you're able to banish a lot of cards really fast, he can just basically be an OTK machine, and so that's basically the general purpose of the deck. You don't always see him, and if you don't, it's really not that big of a deal because basically every other card in the deck is meant to sort of take down the meta, and so you can kind of tailor the deck however you want it and however the format is looking. This is just sort of the build that I've been going with. But then we're going to go on into 3 copies of the Gizmek Orochi. So what Orochi does is it can special summon itself from your hand or your graveyard, which is really crazy, by banishing the top 8 cards off of your deck. So basically with this card, if it's in your hand during your opponent's turn, you always want your opponent to go first so you can OTK on your turn. Then you special summon this during your opponent's end phase, and then during your turn, you are able to destroy one face-up monster that your opponent controls by just banishing 3 cards from your extra deck. So really nice card just for a little bit of spot removal, and again, as a quick effect, you can special summon during your opponent's turn. Then we're going on into 3 copies of Eater of Millions. He's basically like Gren Maju de Aiza, but also whenever he battles an opponent's monster, that monster gets banished, and he can't be used as a tribute or fusion material, as well as like XZ and Synchro. So he's just really nice. Your opponent can't tribute it with Kaijus and Super Poly, which are 2 cards that a lot of people are playing in their side deck and even main deck because trying to get around like Red Eyes Dark Dragoon and other boss monsters. So yeah, Eater of Millions is just really nice. He's a tough card for some people to get around. Then we're going on into 3 copies of Danger Bigfoot and 3 copies of the Danger Thunderbird. This is pretty standard. You could drop one of the Thunderbirds, but I really like playing as many of the level 8s in the deck as you can, as well as Gizmek Orochi is also a level 8, so it really just synergizes all together. Then we're going on into a card that is surprisingly like really great. I never really gave this its props when it came out in the 2019 Megatins, but Dimension Shifter, 3 copies of this. Basically with this, as long as you have no cards in your graveyard, you can send this from your hand during your opponent's turn, and then no card, or all the cards that go to the graveyard are going to get banished instead. So it if any of your stuff goes to the graveyard by like if your opponent uses card destruction or anything like that, then, and you send a bunch of stuff to grave, then all that stuff's going to get banished, fueling up your Gren Maju. And then besides that, it just sort of plays around with the theme of banishing a whole bunch of stuff. And this can just really tear down combo decks. The Dino and Dragon Link, this really hurts those, as well as like Infernoble. So yeah, just really great card. Then going on into 2 copies of Hextrude and 2 copies of the Glyph. So these are your cards for your the Golden Castle of Stromberg. So with Hextrude, you can destroy one of your opponent's monsters that is on the field, and then if you do, this card can attack twice per battle phase. Then also with that, it can attack onto 2 of your opponent's monsters, and then when this destroys an opponent's monster by battle, then you can increase the attack of one of your monsters by 400 attack, which is kind of cool. I like that it's 400 because then it kind of plays around with the theme of Gren Maju, just increasing stuff by 400. Glyph is your searcher and also is good for a little bit of spell removal. So yeah, overall the Hextrude is just really nice for trying to push for your battle and sort of clear out boards. Then we're going on into 2 copies of the Gamma Seal, the Sea Turtle Kaiju, just like the best Kaiju that I could fit into the deck. And it is a level 8, so again, it just sort of synergizes with all of the level 8 plays that we're trying to do with the deck. But basically, the Kaijus are really great for just a little bit of spot removal, especially against like Red Eyes Dark Dragoon. And again, like I was saying, just any big boss monsters that you can't get around. This is just really nice for setting up those plays. Then 1 copy of Dino Wrestler Pankratops. Obviously, we're playing a going second deck, so you got to play one of the best going second cards in the game. Then we're going on into, of course, 3 copies of Golden Castle of Stromberg for our field spell. So if you guys don't know what this card does, is that it during your standby phase, you banish the top 10 cards of your deck. So again, it just really helps to fuel up your Gren Maju. And then also, if you don't normal summon in the turn, you can special summon one of your either Hextrude or your Glyph from your hand or main deck. And then also, besides that, the third effect of this card is that if your opponent attacks you, you immediately destroy the attacking monster and inflict damage equal to half the monster's attack. So if your opponent's not paying attention and they just attack into you, then you can sometimes just win for game right there. But besides that, it just adds you a little bit of extra battle protection if you are having trouble finding like your Eater of Millions and your Gren Maju. Then, of course, 3 copies of Pot of Desires. There's not really any needed explanation for that. Then for a little more extra draw power, we have 3 copies of Trade-In. Works with all of your level 8 monsters, so no reason not to have this in the deck. We're playing so many level 8s. And if you're able to trade in with your Gizmek Orochi, that's really, really nice just to set it up in the graveyard. And then basically for a free cost, because then you're just going to get that onto the field anyways, because you can use its effect in graveyard. Or you can just discard one of your dangers if you really want to get off their discard effect. Besides that, we're going into 3 copies of Super Poly. I was running just a heavier Kaiju engine originally, but I kept finding that Super Poly was a little bit better because it ends up giving you a monster actually on your field, and just so, like really, really strong in the format actually with all of like the Shaddoll invoked and all that stuff. Even Dragon Link, there's applications for basically any deck in the meta right now that you can use Super Poly on. So then going into our one-ofs, 1 copy of Harpy's Feather Duster. If you guys can't afford this, it's really not the end of the world because this is just in here because we're trying to push for game on turn 1. So Harpy's Feather Duster is just nice for destroying all the back row. 1 Monster Reborn, and then to finish off our 40-card deck, 1 copy of Foolish Burial because obviously we want to send that Gizmek Orochi as quickly to the graveyard as we can. So that's just basically a 4th copy of our Gizmek Orochi in the deck. I decided to go with the 40-card build just because, you know, it is nice to run a few more monsters in, or more cards in the deck, but because you don't want to get totally banished out. But your Golden Castle of Stromberg is never going to make you lose. If you have less than 10 cards during your standby phase, it's just going to blow itself up. So you can't really lose by decking out. You will deck out eventually, but overall, I still like the 40-card build. That way you can see the crucial cards when you really need them. So going on into our Super Poly targets, you guys probably saw this already, but I am playing the 1 copy of the Almarduke. So with this card, for its requirements is 3 Link monsters. So basically if your opponent is going into a big Wombo combo, then you can basically go into Almarduke and steal 3 of their Link monsters and just get out a 3000 attack beater, which is absolutely insane. It's totally free, and besides that, also keep in mind with the Dragon Link deck, they are going into Romulus and LP and Pisty at the same time. So right there is your 3 Link monsters. So you basically have your condition right there. 1 copy of Mud Dragon of the Swamp. Obviously, he's like one of the best, most generic guys to go into. 1 copy of Elder Entity Natis. Now, obviously this is in here for the Dogmatica matchup, but it also has applications just for a hard fusion summon because its requirements are a Synchro monster and an XZ. So if your opponent is even playing like something like, you know, they're playing like Adamancipators and they go into one of the Synchros and then they get out the Gallic Granite, boom, right there, you go into Elder Entity Natis, and then when this hits the graveyard, boom, you have another pop. Or really, you know, obviously Adamancipator sort of fell from graces when they lost Block Dragon, but there's obviously other applications for this, just other than the Dogmatica matchup. Then obviously the 1 Predaplant, 1 Starving Venom Fusion, and then this is a new addition, the Dragon Knight Draco Equist. This is the one that you could take out and maybe put into the side if you wanted to, but I like putting this in the regular extra deck. So what this card's fusion requirements is 1 Dragon-type Synchro and a Warrior-type monster, which is extremely specific, and he's really not even that good of a card. But with the Draco Equist, if your opponent is going into Borreload Savage Dragon, then and they get out any kind of warrior type monster, then this is how you go into that. Especially, obviously, with the Infernoble Knight deck, they are definitely going to be having warriors on board. So you can guarantee that if you're playing up against the Infernoble deck, you're going to be able to get out the Dragon Knight Equist, and it's going to sort of tear apart their board. And besides that, there's not a lot of other applications for like the other fusion monsters that you could use against Infernobles, so this is obviously your best option. Then for XZ plays, since we're playing a lot of the level 8s, we're playing a lot of rank 8s, so we have one Dingirsu, sends to grave, doesn't target, doesn't destroy, obviously there for the Dark Dragoon matchup, and anything else that we Mekk-Knight Grusadia Evermax. Dingirsu is just super good. One Hope Harbinger, this is sort of like your best option if your opponent forces you to go first. You can go into Hope Harbinger and stop your opponent from using spells. One number 97, one number 100. These cards, along with your Hope Harbinger, work in an OTK fashion to get the Numeron Dragon up to 9,000 attack in one hit. So he's almost like another Gren Maju for the deck. Then we're playing the Neo Galaxy Eyes Cypher, the Galaxy Eyes Full Armor, and then obviously the Galaxy Eyes Cypher Blade. And then just for our last two extra deck cards, we were playing Nightmare Unicorn and Nightmare Cerberus. These are just the two options that I found with the most utility. We already have a lot of spell destruction in here with like the Harpy's Feather Duster, Danger Thunderbird, and Glyph, so I didn't really find it necessary to put the Nightmare Phoenix in here, but I really liked having the Cerberus and Unicorn as a backup plan. For the side deck, we're obviously playing 3 copies of Nibiru. You could main deck this if you want to, because there is a lot of combo out right now, but I like having it in the side deck. 3 copies of Triple Tactics Talent. This card is absolutely not mandatory, and I'm even thinking of cutting it because overall having this in the main deck wasn't that great. I didn't, there was too many times where you're not really like searching for stuff. Like if you open up with a really basic hand with like Orochi and Gren Maju, then you're not actually going to be using any draw effects. Then your opponent is not going to be using like Ash Blossom on you or anything. So sometimes Triple Tactics Talent really isn't that great. So you could take this out of the side deck and the main deck if you don't want it. 2 copies of Cosmic Cyclone. This is just in here for like stuff like Eldritch and whatnot. And then 3 copies of Ice Dragon's Prison. This was originally There Can Only Be One, but I kept finding time after time that, there are some decks that play a lot of different attributes and whatnot, but basically every deck is going to be playing at least 2 of the same attribute. And so this is, again, really nice for like Dark Dragoon matchup and anything else that's playing similar types. Then we're going on into 1 copy of Invoked Elysium for, again, the Dogmatica matchup, and 1 more copy of Elder Entity Natis. Your extra deck is so flexible between games that you guys can easily side these in, and it's really not going to hurt your other plays. 1 copy of Predaplant Triple Boy. If your opponent's playing a heavy dark deck, you might want to side this in instead of like the Natis or really whatever. And then finally 1 copy of Salamangreat Violet Chimera for the Salamangreat matchup. But anyways, guys, that's going to do it for my deck profile, the full sideboard and everything. So really the sideboard is where you find a lot of variation in here, but hopefully you guys enjoyed this deck profile. Make sure to subscribe if you guys haven't already, and click that like button if you guys enjoyed the video, and we'll see you next time. Bye.